Is it possible that the very essence of who we are, the intricate tapestry of our thoughts, our deepest desires, and the innate yearnings that guide our lives, are not entirely our own? What if, etched into the foundational layers of our consciousness, lies an ancient, almost imperceptible blueprint, a code, if you will, bequeathed to us by beings from a time long forgotten, perhaps even from another world entirely? This is not merely a fanciful notion plucked from the pages of science fiction. It is a profound question that challenges the very bedrock of our understanding of human origins, our place in the cosmos, and the delicate machinations of the human mind itself. We often take for granted the incredible leap in cognitive abilities that set Homo sapiens apart, the sudden blossoming of complex language, abstract thought, and an insatiable curiosity about the universe around us. Mainstream archaeology and anthropology offer compelling, if somewhat linear, explanations. Yet there remains a persistent, almost nagging whisper from the annals of antiquity, a narrative woven into the oldest surviving texts on Earth, suggesting a more audacious, a far more provocative genesis for humankind. Consider for a moment the sheer audacity of such a proposition. Imagine standing on the cobbled streets of Oxford, or perhaps amidst the ancient stones of Stonehenge, and contemplating that the profound intellectual capacity, the very spark of innovation that built these monuments, might not have been a purely terrestrial evolution. Picture the bustling daily grind in a London tube carriage, the myriad faces lost in thought, each processing a universe of data, planning, dreaming, yearning. Could these complex mental architectures, so robust and yet so fragile, house echoes of an intelligence far grander, far older than anything we conventionally conceive? It is a thought that should send a shiver down one's spine, a revelation that could fundamentally alter our perception of ourselves. The journey we are about to embark upon is not one of definitive pronouncements, but of careful yet daring exploration, peeling back the layers of accepted history to gaze into the tantalizing possibility of an Anunnaki code, subtly yet indelibly etched into the very fabric of our consciousness. This narrative does not seek to provide all the answers, but rather to provoke the most vital questions, inviting you to reflect on what you truly believe about your own mind. It asks, with a quiet urgency, whether the deepest roots of our being extend beyond the comfortable confines of our known history, reaching into realms once relegated to myth and legend. The story of humanity, it seems, might be far more intricate, far more enigmatic than any textbook has ever dared to suggest. If this beginning has already stirred a flicker of doubt, a frisson of intrigue, making you question the settled narratives of your past, then you are precisely where you need to be. This is just the overture. The true symphony of revelation is yet to unfold. If this start has already made you rethink what you knew, imagine what lies ahead in this extraordinary exploration. So go on, don't hold back. Leave a like and subscribe to the channel, because here every single video aims to uncover profound truths that very few have the courage to acknowledge, let alone openly discuss. Our quest for the Anunnaki Code begins, as all good British mysteries do, in the dusty, labyrinthine corridors of ancient history, specifically in the sun-baked lands of Mesopotamia. It is here, amongst the remnants of Sumerian civilization, that archaeologists, those meticulous guardians of our past, have unearthed a treasure trove of cuneiform tablets. These clay tablets, painstakingly inscribed with wedges and lines, represent the earliest known form of writing, a direct portal into the minds and beliefs of a people who flourished thousands of years before the Romans ever dreamt of an empire or the Normans set foot on English soil. What these texts reveal, when translated and interpreted with an open mind, challenges the conventional historical narrative with an almost audacious flourish. They speak not just of kings and conquests, of daily life and agricultural practices, but of a pantheon of powerful beings referred to as the Anunnaki, those who from heaven to earth came. These were not mere gods in the abstract ethereal sense that later religions would often portray. No, the Sumerian accounts depict them as flesh and blood entities, albeit of immense power and advanced technology, who descended from the heavens, settled on earth, and quite directly, actively, intervened in the nascent stages of human development. Imagine the quiet intensity of an academic working late in a British university library, perhaps in the hushed, echoing halls of the British Museum, poring over these ancient scripts. The faint hum of the fluorescent lights, the rustle of turning pages, the meticulous cross-referencing of lexicons. It's a world of dedication and minute detail. Yet, within those ancient symbols lies a story that explodes with cosmological drama. Scholars like Zecharia Sitchin, though often met with a healthy dose of academic skepticism, dedicated their lives to translating these texts, drawing controversial but compelling conclusions. Sitchin argued that the Anunnaki, originating from a 12th planet in our solar system, Nibiru, arrived on Earth millennia ago, primarily in search of gold, a vital element for their home planet's atmosphere. He meticulously detailed how these beings, finding the indigenous hominids insufficient for their labor needs, embarked upon a daring genetic experiment, merging their own advanced DNA with that of early hominids to create Homo sapiens, a primitive worker, or Lulu, as the texts describe. This wasn't a gradual, millions of years long evolutionary process, but a deliberate, accelerated act of creation. It's a hypothesis that resonates with an unsettling clarity when one considers the abruptness of human cognitive development in the archaeological record, a phenomenon that has puzzled many a seasoned paleontologist. The concept of the Anunnaki, therefore, isn't just a quaint mythological footnote. It's a potential Rosetta Stone for understanding our very essence. If these accounts hold even a kernel of truth, then the implications are staggering. It means our very existence, our capacity for abstract thought, for language, for tool-making, for forming complex societal structures, from the rudimentary tribal councils to the intricacies of the Houses of Parliament, might not be purely an outcome of terrestrial evolution. Instead, it could be a legacy, a deliberate imprint, an Anunnaki code woven into our deepest being, shaping our thoughts, our desires, our fears, and our aspirations in ways we are only just beginning to contemplate. The very why of humanity, the fundamental drive that pushes us to explore, to innovate, to conquer, might have been programmed into us from the very outset by architects whose motives and intentions remain largely obscured by the mists of time. This takes us to a truly fascinating, if highly speculative, crossroad, the intersection of ancient texts and modern genetics. The notion that our very DNA might hold an Anunnaki code, a latent blueprint for consciousness, is undeniably audacious, yet it provides a compelling, if controversial, lens through which to view the mysteries of human evolution. For decades, geneticists, those meticulous cartographers of the human genome, puzzled over what they termed junk DNA, vast stretches of our genetic code that appeared to have no discernible function. It was, to many, a biological enigma, a significant portion of our most fundamental instruction manual seemingly irrelevant. But as scientific understanding advanced, the term junk began to fall out of favor, replaced by non-coding DNA, and researchers are now slowly uncovering its complex regulatory roles, its subtle influences on gene expression, and its potential as an archive of evolutionary history. What if, within these previously dismissed segments, or even interwoven into the very fabric of our functional genes, lies the subtle signature of an extraterrestrial intervention? Imagine a team of geneticists, perhaps at the Sanger Institute near Cambridge, meticulously sequencing a complex stretch of human DNA, their screens filled with the familiar ATCG sequences. What if, hidden within that seemingly random arrangement, or in the more complex three-dimensional folding of the DNA helix, there existed patterns, anomalies, or unique markers that spoke not of terrestrial lineage, but of something profoundly other? The Anunnaki narrative, as interpreted from the Sumerian tablets, speaks of a direct genetic modification, a quickening of an existing hominid species. This wasn't a slow, naturalistic process, but an accelerated, intelligent design. Such an intervention would undoubtedly leave its mark. It wouldn't necessarily be an overt message written in plain text, but perhaps a subtle rearrangement, an insertion of specific sequences, or even a modification of regulatory genes that vastly enhanced cognitive function, creating the scaffolding for abstract thought, complex language, and a profound capacity for self-awareness. Consider the out-of-Africa theory, which posits a relatively recent and rapid expansion of Homo sapiens with fully modern cognitive abilities. While widely accepted, the sheer speed of this cognitive leap, the sudden appearance of sophisticated tool-making, cave art, and symbolic thought has always presented a puzzle. It's as if humanity, having ambled along for millennia, suddenly received an inexplicable software upgrade. Could this upgrade be the legacy of the Anunnaki's genetic manipulation? The code wouldn't just dictate physical traits. It would, more importantly, influence the very architecture of our brains, providing the biological hardware for a consciousness capable of questioning its own existence, of building civilizations, and of gazing up at the stars with an innate longing for something more. It would be a fundamental biological predisposition towards certain forms of intelligence, certain patterns of thought, and perhaps even certain primal urges. The prospect is both unsettling and exhilarating, suggesting that the most intimate parts of our being, our very genetic blueprint, might hold a silent, profound testament to an ancient, extraterrestrial legacy. Have you ever stopped to ponder the sheer complexity of your own inner workings, the intricate dance of genes and proteins that makes you, you? It's a mystery in itself. If the Anunnaki did indeed implant a code within us, influencing our genetic makeup and by extension our consciousness, then its manifestations should be discernible not just in our biological hardware, but in our behavioral software, in the innate drives and the collective unconscious that shape human civilization. Throughout history, from the earliest settlements along the River Thames to the sprawling metropolises of today, certain human behaviors and desires seem remarkably consistent, almost archetypal. The relentless pursuit of resources, particularly precious metals like gold, the establishment of rigid hierarchical structures from tribal chiefs to monarchs and prime ministers, and the perennial, often brutal, propensity for conflict and conquest. Are these merely products of environmental pressures and social constructs, or could they be echoes of an ancient programming, a legacy of the Anunnaki's own priorities and societal structures? Take, for instance, the human fascination with gold. From the pharaohs of Egypt hoarding vast quantities to the modern financial markets where its value remains paramount, gold has an almost mystical allure. The Sumerian texts, as interpreted by Sitchin, explicitly state that the Anunnaki came to Earth primarily for gold, using it for their own planetary needs. Is it mere coincidence that humanity, from its earliest civilizations, has assigned such extraordinary value to this specific element, often going to extreme lengths, even war, to acquire and control it? Could this be a deeply embedded preference, a subtle directive in our collective psyche, a subconscious echo of our Creator's primary objective? It's a question that certainly gives one pause. Perhaps while idly watching the latest gold prices flash across a news ticker on a public screen in Piccadilly Circus, Furthermore, the ubiquity of hierarchical structures across all human societies, from the smallest family unit to the largest global corporations, is striking. There is an almost instinctive drive to establish leadership, to delineate roles, and to create systems of command and obedience. The Anunnaki, as depicted in the Sumerian accounts, were themselves organized in a strict hierarchy, with figures like Enlil and Enki at the apex, issuing commands and overseeing their projects on Earth. Could our own intrinsic tendency towards such structures be a reflection of this ancient model, part of the social operating system embedded within the Anunnaki code? Carl Jung, the renowned Swiss psychiatrist, spoke of the collective unconscious, a reservoir of universal experiences, symbols and archetypes inherited by all humanity. He described archetypes such as the hero, the wise old man, the shadow, and the great mother, which manifest across diverse cultures and individual psyches. What if these archetypes are not just purely human constructs, but deep-seated imprints, fundamental patterns of thought and behavior that were either deliberately programmed into us or arose organically from the unique circumstances of our creation by the Anunnaki? The flood myths, for example, found in almost every ancient culture across the globe, bear a striking resemblance to the Sumerian epic of Gilgamesh, which details a divine warning and a devastating deluge. Coincidence, or a shared ancient memory, an echo reverberating through the Anunnaki code across millennia, shaping our deepest fears and our most profound narratives. The questions are legion, and the potential answers breathtaking. Venturing deeper into the proposed Anunnaki code means examining the very architecture of the human mind, that incredibly complex and enigmatic organ nestled within our cranium. If the Anunnaki did indeed accelerate human evolution, or even engineered us from a precursor hominid, then the most profound part of their programming would surely reside within our cognitive abilities. Is our consciousness merely a biological phenomenon, an emergent property of billions of neurons firing in intricate patterns? Or is there an underlying structure, a pre-installed operating system that guides our thoughts, our perceptions, and our very understanding of reality? Consider the sheer leaps in human cognitive capacity that seem to appear almost suddenly in the archaeological record. The capacity for abstract thought, for symbolic reasoning, for complex language, and for the kind of self-awareness that allows us to ponder our own existence. These are not incremental improvements, but qualitative shifts that defy simple evolutionary explanations. Imagine, if you will, the bustling intellectual energy within the hallowed halls of the Royal Society in London, where some of the greatest minds in British science have debated the fundamental questions of existence for centuries. Or perhaps the quiet, intense focus of a neuroscientist at University College London, meticulously mapping brain activity, attempting to unravel the biological correlates of consciousness. The human brain, weighing a mere 3 pounds, is an unparalleled marvel. Its ability to process information, create art, compose symphonies, design spacecraft, and contemplate the very fabric of the cosmos vastly outstrips anything found in the animal kingdom. Could this extraordinary leap, this sudden surge in mental capacity, be the most compelling evidence of an external influence, an Anunnaki code that provided not just the hardware, but the sophisticated software that allows for such profound intellectual and emotional complexity? It would be akin to taking a rudimentary abacus and, in a single audacious act, transforming it into a supercomputer, fully equipped with an advanced operating system and preloaded applications. The code wouldn't just be about intellectual capacity, it would also encompass our emotional landscape, our capacity for empathy, for love, for fear, for anger. These are powerful motivators that shape human interactions on every level, from the personal to the geopolitical. Were these emotional complexities also part of the Anunnaki's design, perhaps to ensure a certain level of social cohesion, or conversely, to instigate rivalries that might have served their own purposes. The Sumerian texts hint at complex relationships and often volatile dynamics among the Anunnaki themselves, suggesting that these emotions were not unknown to them. If so, then our own emotional responses might, in a very subtle way, be echoing the passions and temperaments of our ancient creators. The idea that our minds are, in some sense, a pre-programmed system, designed with specific capabilities and perhaps even latent directives, fundamentally alters our understanding of free will and determinism. Are we truly the masters of our own destiny, or are we, to some subtle degree, enacting a script written millennia ago? A cosmic play unfolding according to an Anunnaki design embedded deep within our mental architecture. The question lingers, a persistent whisper on the edge of conscious thought, demanding our attention and inviting us to look beyond the obvious. If our consciousness is indeed shaped by an Anunnaki code, then one of its most pervasive and undeniable manifestations lies in the relentless human pursuit of the material, particularly wealth, power, and status. This isn't merely a modern phenomenon driven by capitalism. It's a historical constant, an insatiable drive that has fueled empires, ignited wars, and defined societal structures across millennia, from the earliest Bronze Age kingdoms to the boardrooms of the Fatsi 100 today. Could this fundamental human imperative, this almost visceral longing for accumulation and dominance, be a direct reflection of the Anunnaki's own priorities, passed down through the code etched into our very being? The Sumerian texts consistently depict the Anunnaki as beings of immense power, preoccupied with resources, territorial control, and maintaining their own intricate hierarchies. Their very presence on Earth, as interpreted by Sitchin, was primarily driven by the need to extract gold, a precious metal vital to their home planet's survival. This resource-driven motive permeated their actions, their interactions, and their directives to early humanity. Think about the enduring appeal of the crown jewels, safely ensconced in the Tower of London, or the staggering fortunes accumulated by individuals throughout British history, from the East India Company magnates to contemporary tech billionaires. This deep-seated human desire for gold, for land, for influence, for the very symbols of power, seems to transcend culture and era. It's a drive so powerful that it often overrides considerations of morality, empathy, or long-term sustainability. Are we, in our modern pursuit of economic growth and material comfort, merely acting out an ancient script, fulfilling an imperative encoded within us by beings who themselves valued such commodities above all else? The sheer scale of human ambition, the endless cycles of conquest and expansion, the ceaseless innovation aimed at acquiring more, controlling more, experiencing more, all of it could be interpreted as a manifestation of this deeply embedded Anunnaki preference. It's a chilling thought, perhaps, to consider that our most fundamental motivations might not be entirely self-generated, but rather a legacy of an ancient extraterrestrial agenda. When we witness the cutthroat competition in the City of London, the aggressive tactics of multinational corporations, or the unwavering focus on gross domestic product, we are observing behaviors that, when viewed through the lens of the Anunnaki Code, take on a profoundly different meaning. It suggests that our consciousness, far from being a blank slate or a purely independent entity, arrived on Earth with certain pre-installed biases, certain inclinations towards specific forms of endeavor. The code might subtly push us towards technological advancement, towards mastering our environment, towards creating complex societies, all activities that would have been beneficial, perhaps even necessary, for the Anunnaki's own purposes during their time on Earth. If you've been absorbed by this exploration so far and haven't hit the pause button, it's clear this narrative has resonated with something deep within you. It's moved you, hasn't it? So, why not bolster this content? Give it a like right now and consider sharing it with someone else, someone who you believe absolutely needs to witness this unfolding perspective. Your engagement truly helps these profound discussions reach a wider audience. Yet humanity is not solely defined by its pursuit of the material. There exists within the human psyche an equally powerful, if often more subtle, yearning for meaning, for connection beyond the mundane, for a spiritual dimension that transcends the tangible. If the Anunnaki code has imprinted within us a drive for resources and hierarchy, could it also contain the seeds of our spirituality, our innate search for something more profound? This question delves into the very heart of human contradictions. We are beings who build towering skyscrapers and wage devastating wars, but we are also capable of immense compassion, of artistic creation that touches the soul, and of profound mystical experiences that defy rational explanation. Consider the timeless allure of cathedrals across Britain, from the majestic Salisbury Cathedral to the awe-inspiring Westminster Abbey, or the ancient enduring mystery of places like Avebury and Glastonbury Tor, sites steeped in spiritual lore. These structures and landscapes speak to a human need that goes beyond mere survival or material gain. They point to an intrinsic drive to connect with something larger than ourselves, to find solace in the inexplicable, and to ponder the nature of existence itself. Could this spiritual yearning also be a part of the Anunnaki code, albeit a more nuanced or perhaps even unintended consequence of their intervention? Perhaps the very capacity for abstract thought which they bestowed upon us naturally led to existential questioning, to the development of complex belief systems, and to a longing for the heavens from whence our creators came. It's a poetic, almost poignant idea that our spiritual quest is, in some sense, a subconscious remembrance, a genetic memory of our origins, a longing for a connection to our cosmic ancestors. The Sumerian texts, while focusing on the Anunnaki's physical presence and their interventions, also describe profound rituals, sacred spaces, and a complex understanding of the cosmos. These were not primitive, fear-driven superstitions, but elaborate systems of belief that attempted to explain the relationship between humanity and its powerful creators. It's possible that the Anunnaki themselves possessed a spiritual dimension, a philosophical framework that informed their own understanding of the universe. If so, then a rudimentary form of this understanding, a capacity for spiritual introspection and a drive to seek answers beyond the immediate, might have been inadvertently or even deliberately woven into the Anunnaki code. It wouldn't be a specific religion, of course, but rather the capacity for religious thought, for mystical experiences, for the profound introspection that leads to philosophical inquiry. From the earliest shamanistic practices to the complex theological debates in a modern British university, humanity has relentlessly sought to answer the big questions. Who are we? Why are we here? Is there something beyond this life? These are not questions that yield material gain or political power, yet they are among the most persistent and defining characteristics of the human mind. The Anunnaki code, therefore, might be far more intricate than just a set of instructions for building a workforce. It could be a multi-layered tapestry, encompassing not only our earthly drives, but also our cosmic yearnings, a silent testament to the complex legacy of our enigmatic creators. If humanity's consciousness is imbued with an Anunnaki code, guiding our innate drives and spiritual yearnings, then what about the outliers, the dissenters, those who seem to defy the established norms and push the boundaries of societal expectation? Are these individuals, from historical revolutionaries to modern-day iconoclasts, simply glitches in the programming? Or do they represent a deeper, perhaps even intentional complexity within the Anunnaki's design? The notion of rebellion is deeply woven into the human story, from the peasants' revolt in medieval England to the suffragettes demanding voting rights. It's a powerful testament to a restless spirit, a refusal to passively accept the status quo. If we are indeed programmed, then these moments of defiance, these individuals who challenge the very fabric of accepted reality, raise intriguing questions about the nature of the Anunnaki code. Consider figures like Emmeline Pankhurst, tirelessly campaigning for women's rights from her base in Manchester, or the quiet radicalism of a poet like William Blake, challenging the prevailing industrialization and rigid rationality of his era from his London home. These individuals, and countless others like them, seem to operate on a different frequency, driven by an inner conviction that transcended the immediate social and political pressures. Were they simply exercising free will in its purest form, or could their actions be understood as variations within a highly sophisticated, adaptive Anunnaki code? Perhaps the code wasn't meant to create a perfectly compliant, homogeneous species. After all, the Sumerian texts themselves hint at internal conflicts and disagreements among the Anunnaki, suggesting a capacity for diverse perspectives, even rebellion, within their own ranks. It is plausible that such a capacity for independent thought, for questioning authority, for seeking alternative paths, was also a deliberate inclusion in the human genetic blueprint, a species that could adapt, evolve, and even self-correct through internal dissent, might ultimately prove more resilient and capable of fulfilling longer-term, perhaps unforeseen, objectives of its creators. Furthermore, the very concept of awakening or enlightenment, found in various spiritual traditions worldwide, suggests a possibility of transcending our perceived limitations, of breaking free from the conditioning of our minds. Monks meditating in remote Scottish highlands, or individuals undergoing profound personal transformations in the bustling urban centres, often describe a shift in perception, a deeper understanding of reality. Is this merely psychological development, or could it be the unlocking of latent aspects within the Anunnaki code, pathways that allow for greater self-awareness, for a conscious choice to deviate from the default settings? It would imply that the code isn't a rigid, unchangeable program, but rather a complex system with various layers, some of which can be accessed and even reconfigured by conscious effort. This adds a compelling dimension to the theory, suggesting that humanity's true potential might lie not in blindly following an ancient script, but in actively discerning and perhaps even rewriting parts of that very code. It suggests a fascinating interplay between predetermined influence and genuine free will, painting a picture of humanity as a species designed with the capacity to both fulfill and transcend its origins. The paradox of rebellion, therefore, becomes a crucial piece in understanding the full scope of the Anunnaki code, revealing a level of intricacy that goes far beyond simple instruction. The concept of the Anunnaki code, while rooted in ancient Sumerian texts, finds an unsettling resonance in modern times, in phenomena that continue to baffle and intrigue. These aren't just quaint historical footnotes, they are contemporary anomalies that, when viewed through the lens of a pre-programmed consciousness, take on a profoundly different significance. We speak of unexplained aerial phenomena, often termed UFOs, or more recently UAPs, unidentified aerial phenomena, which continue to be reported globally, from the skies above rural Welsh valleys to the bustling airspaces over major cities. While mainstream science often dismisses these as misidentification or hoaxes, the sheer volume of credible eyewitness accounts, some from military personnel and commercial pilots, demands closer scrutiny. Could these modern sightings be contemporary manifestations of the Anunnaki's continued presence, or perhaps the lingering remnants of their advanced technology, still active and occasionally glimpsed by an unsuspecting populace? Imagine a crisp, clear evening in the British countryside, perhaps near Avebury or Salisbury Plain, and observing a silent, inexplicable craft moving with impossible speed and maneuverability across the night sky. For centuries, humanity has gazed at the stars, wondering if we are alone. If the Anunnaki were indeed our creators, intervening in our genetic and cognitive development, then the idea of their complete and utter disappearance from Earth after their initial project seems somewhat incomplete. It's plausible, within this speculative framework, that they maintained an observational role, perhaps even a subtle guiding hand, from a distance. The code might not just be a historical imprint, but an ongoing, albeit imperceptible, influence. Furthermore, there are modern accounts of contact experiences, individuals reporting vivid encounters with non-human intelligences, often describing beings with characteristics that bear striking resemblances to the ancient descriptions of the Anunnaki themselves. Tall, imposing figures, sometimes with distinct features that set them apart. While highly controversial and often sensationalized, these narratives, when stripped of their more outlandish elements, consistently point to a powerful, intelligent, and technologically advanced other. Could these encounters, however rare, be instances where the Anunnaki code within certain individuals is activated, or where a subtle, deep-seated recognition is triggered? It's a hypothesis that pushes the boundaries of our current understanding, but neatly bridges the chasm between ancient myth and modern mystery. The persistence of crop circles in places like Wiltshire, often featuring intricate geometric patterns that defy conventional explanation, also adds to this tapestry of modern anomalies. While many are undoubtedly hoaxes, some formations exhibit a mathematical precision and complexity that continues to puzzle experts. Could these be subtle messages, complex signposts from an unseen intelligence, perhaps even echoes of the Anunnaki's own highly advanced scientific and mathematical knowledge, meant to subtly interact with the awakened consciousness of humanity? These lingering whispers from the cosmos, these unexplained phenomena of our modern age, serve as potent reminders that the story of humanity's origins and the potential influence of the Anunnaki code is far from concluded. Instead, they suggest an ongoing narrative, a continuous dialogue between our programmed selves and the architects of our ancient past, pushing us to question, to observe, and to reconsider everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. You ever stop to truly reflect on the sheer breadth of unexplained phenomena around us? What if, just for a moment, you considered they aren't random, but part of a grander design? It's a thought that can truly make your brain tingle. Comment below. Right now, this is unbelievable, just so I know you're right there with me on this mind-bending journey. Deconstructing the Anunnaki code, if it truly exists, is not merely an academic exercise. It carries profound implications for our understanding of human nature, our potential, and our place in the cosmic order. If our consciousness, our drives, and our capacities are, in part, a legacy of an ancient extraterrestrial intervention, does this diminish our achievements or, conversely, imbue our existence with a grander, more purposeful narrative? The very act of questioning our origins, of scrutinizing the ancient texts and modern anomalies, is perhaps the first step in reading this hidden code within ourselves. It encourages introspection, a deep dive into the wellsprings of our own motivations, fears, and aspirations. Are our desires for progress, for exploration beyond our planet, for understanding the very fabric of the universe, merely inherent human traits? Or are they echoes of an Anunnaki drive, a programmed curiosity instilled by beings who themselves traverse the cosmos? Consider the ambition behind sending probes to Mars, or the ongoing search for exoplanets capable of sustaining life. This relentless push outwards, this yearning to connect with other intelligences, could be seen as a deeply embedded directive from our creators. Perhaps the Anunnaki, having seeded life or modified it on Earth, intended for their offspring to eventually look back towards the stars, to follow in their cosmic footsteps. Understanding the Anunnaki code means grappling with the possibility that our species, Homo sapiens, might not be the accidental product of blind evolution, but a carefully engineered, if imperfect, creation designed for a specific purpose. This doesn't necessarily mean we are puppets on a string. Rather, it suggests we possess an extraordinary, perhaps even sacred lineage that predates our conventional understanding. It could provide a framework for understanding why certain societal patterns repeat themselves, why certain conflicts seem inevitable, and why humanity consistently grapples with the same fundamental questions about identity and destiny. The quest to deconstruct this code would involve a multidisciplinary approach, blending ancient history, archaeology, linguistics, genetics, neuroscience, and even quantum physics. Researchers, perhaps from diverse departments within a prestigious institution like the London School of Economics or Imperial College, would need to collaborate, pushing the boundaries of conventional thought, daring to connect seemingly disparate fields of knowledge. It would mean re-evaluating our myths, our legends, and our religious texts not as mere folklore, but as fragmented narratives that contain encoded truths about our origins. It would also involve a profound shift in our collective consciousness, an acceptance that the universe is far stranger, far more complex, and far more interconnected than we have previously dared to imagine. The implications for philosophy, for ethics, for our understanding of free will and collective responsibility would be immense. If we discover that our consciousness holds an Anunnaki code, it would force us to ask not just who we are, but whose we are, and what the true purpose of our extraordinary journey might be. It invites us to consider a future where humanity, finally understanding its ancient lineage, chooses its own path, perhaps even evolving beyond the constraints of its initial programming. The tapestry of the Anunnaki code, ostensibly etched into the very fabric of our consciousness, remains largely unread, its full implications waiting to be deciphered. As we approach the culmination of this exploration, it becomes strikingly clear that this is not a story with a neat, conclusive ending. Instead, it is a narrative that leaves more questions hanging in the air than it answers, opening up vast new avenues for speculation and further discovery. What definitive steps could humanity take to confirm, or perhaps even definitively refute, this audacious hypothesis? The task is daunting, requiring an unprecedented blend of scientific rigor, archaeological re-evaluation, and an open-minded willingness to consider possibilities that challenge our most cherished scientific and historical paradigms. Imagine the meticulous, painstaking work involved in re-examining every cuneiform tablet in the British Museum, applying advanced linguistic algorithms and perhaps even artificial intelligence to seek out patterns, anomalies, or hidden subtexts that previous generations of scholars might have overlooked. Would such deep analysis reveal more precise details about the Anunnaki's intentions, their genetic methodology, or even the precise mechanisms by which they influenced human consciousness? Furthermore, consider the potential advancements in neuroscience and genetics. If we could map the human brain with even greater precision, or unlock the secrets of non-coding DNA, might we find specific markers, unique neuropathways, or dormant genetic sequences that bear the unmistakable signature of an intelligent, non-terrestrial design? It's a prospect that would electrify the scientific community, potentially rewriting textbooks overnight and profoundly shifting our understanding of biological life itself. What would happen, truly, if humanity were to collectively acknowledge an Anunnaki legacy embedded within its consciousness? Would it lead to a crisis of identity, a fracturing of belief systems, or conversely, a profound sense of unity and shared heritage? The potential for societal upheaval, as deeply held beliefs about our autonomy and uniqueness are challenged, is undeniable. Yet such a revelation could also serve as a powerful catalyst for a new era of understanding, fostering a shared sense of purpose in unraveling the ultimate truth of our existence. The unanswered questions are profound and echo with a captivating allure. Are the Anunnaki still observing us, perhaps subtly guiding the trajectory of human civilization through the very code they left behind? Are the flashes of genius, the breakthroughs in science, the moments of profound spiritual insight, merely expressions of our evolving capabilities, or are they subtly triggered by an external, ancient influence acting as a cosmic nudge? The thought that our consciousness might be a complex, multi-layered system, with certain aspects awaiting activation or discovery, adds an exhilarating dimension to the human journey. It implies that there might be dormant capacities within us, vast reservoirs of untapped potential, waiting to be unlocked once we fully grasp the nature of our origins. This leaves us on the precipice of a monumental shift in perception, inviting us to view every human endeavor, every thought, every aspiration, through a new, more expansive lens. The search for the Anunnaki code within our consciousness is not just about the past, it is fundamentally about our future. A future where humanity, perhaps finally understanding its extraordinary heritage, can consciously choose its destiny, guided by a deeper comprehension of the complex and enigmatic origins that have shaped us all. The echoes of the Anunnaki code, whether a subtle whisper or a profound imprint, continue to reverberate through the very core of our being, shaping our conscious future in ways we are only just beginning to grasp. This journey has not offered definitive answers, nor could it, for the questions themselves, reach into the deepest enigmas of existence. Instead, it has served as an invitation, a provocation, if you will, to look beyond the surface, to question the accepted narratives, and to acknowledge the profound possibility that humanity's story is far grander, far more intricate, and far more connected to the cosmos than we have ever dared to imagine. The code might be subtle, its influence often imperceptible, yet its potential ramifications are truly seismic, challenging us to reevaluate every aspect of our civilization, our psychology, and our spiritual aspirations. Our relentless drive for technological advancement, our innate curiosity about the universe, our persistent search for meaning beyond the mundane, are these merely products of terrestrial evolution, or are they ingrained directives, echoes of an ancient celestial legacy? The quest to understand this potential code is, in essence, a quest for ultimate self-awareness. It beckons us to examine our collective human traits, our yearning for hierarchy, our pursuit of material wealth, our capacity for both immense creativity and destructive conflict, and our profound spiritual yearnings. Are these merely human characteristics, or are they reflections, perhaps even deliberate inclusions, from beings who themselves were powerful, complex, and driven by their own cosmic imperatives? If humanity chooses to consciously engage with this possibility, to delve deeper into the ancient texts with renewed vigor, to scrutinize our genetic makeup with cutting-edge technology, and to bravely confront the anomalies that defy conventional explanation, then the very trajectory of our species could shift profoundly. We might unlock dormant potentials within our own consciousness, discover new pathways of thought and perception, and finally begin to understand the true purpose, if any, behind our extraordinary existence on this blue planet. The journey of discovery is an ongoing one, an endless exploration of the self and the cosmos. The Anunnaki code, whether a myth, a hypothesis, or a profound truth, serves as a powerful reminder that the universe holds secrets far more wondrous and far-reaching than our current understanding allows. It compels us to keep seeking, to keep questioning, and to keep pushing the boundaries of what we believe to be possible. If this content has truly opened your mind, making you see the world through a different lens, then please take a moment to comment below made it to the end. This specific phrase is crucial. It helps us identify those dedicated individuals, those discerning minds who truly delve beyond the superficial. Your engagement means the world. Do like the video if it sparked a new thought or offered a fresh perspective, and subscribe to the channel now, activating that notification bell, because the upcoming episodes are set to plunge even deeper into these profound mysteries. And remember, the content already on your screen is the logical next step in this incredible journey. Trust me, you absolutely won't want to stop here.